Before I start this video, I want to say it right off the bat because I've had other YouTubers emailing me and, hey man, is your revenue back to normal or is it still terrible? FYI, it's back to terrible. It was good for 3 days. Well, really good first day. Second day was okay. Third day, it was below normal. Fourth day, oh my God, what happened? Fifth day, what the hell has happened for sure? This is terrible. Cannot believe what I'm seeing. And then it kind of popped back up briefly. Not normal, but I thought it was back to normal. And then went down again pretty good. Still not super awful, but not good. And then it went down again to, uh-oh, what happened? So just an FYI, in case you discuss this on other people's channels, they're having same issues. This is a YouTube-wide issue for all people who do videos. I watched a video from someone the other day, just this morning actually. This guy has over 1 million subscribers. And he had his producer guy that he works with on the phone. He says, well, without giving, monetary values, I'll just tell you this for everybody listening. You've gone from, let's just call it 100% revenue down to 10%. So regardless of what the number is, just think of whatever it was, 90% of it's gone, and you have 10% left. And the guy was just like this is how bad it is. I've looked at the toy channels, the entertainment channels, the gaming channels, the news channels. I've looked at every channel you could imagine, and I'm finding out that everybody has this issue. So this has to be related to the big advertiser boycott thing that was going on, in which Google said, give us a week or two, and we'll try to we will implement something that'll give you more control over where your advertising is being showed. So that if it's a racist channel, we don't want it on there. If it's a hate speech person, we don't want it on there. If it's about ISIS and terrorism, we don't want it there. And they'll have more control, apparently, of where their ads can be shown. So clearly they haven't come back yet, the advertisers. I'm waiting for Google to make some announcements that okay, we have it in place, the system's in place, you now have control, please come back. And as I said before, I still believe with 100%, in my mind anyway, certainty, advertisers, they need to advertise. They must put that ad in front of you people, in the whole world that is, so that you buy their product. Everywhere you look, buy me, buy me, buy me, buy me, buy me, buy me. They can only sit back for so long before they got to come up with some advertising revenue to dump into YouTube and other sources. They're not just going to say, well, screw YouTube. YouTube is the new television. It's the best thing you could possibly advertise on as an advertiser. Because you can do video advertisements in front of people's faces right when they go to watch their favorite show or YouTube person, etc. So I just want to update everybody. I'm back down to what the hell happened mode, revenue as far as that's concerned. So just again, I'm only updating you so that if other people ask you, do you know any other YouTuber? Yeah, Jason Ford said he was back to normal, and I did say that. Only to find out 2 days later, nope, never mind, back down. So anyways, onto the video. Zero Hedge has an article, and I've said this before at least 3 or 4 times now, and I want to say it again, just so everybody knows I mean this, and I'm pretty sure I'm right now with what my thoughts were. When Donald Trump comes out and says XYZ and tweets it, I don't care how absurd it is. If he's out there saying that this is this and this and this, it is so. The Russians hack up. Nonsense. He called it. It was nonsense. The DNC head, because the DNC said, we're going to hire this third-party firm to look into the DNC because we think we were hacked by the Russians here. Russians are meddling in our system, DNC. And the guy overseeing the DNC currently, just recently, as in a few days ago, and I think it's related to the fact that this third party has absolutely no evidence. Did they have access to the servers? Did the FBI give them access? No, none. You have to have that in order to know if someone's hacked. Nope, they don't have it. Didn't have access. So how could you possibly come to the conclusion that things are pointing in that direction? That, yeah, we think they were hacked by the Russians. You can't. So this guy who's at the head of the DNC just said, again, about a week ago or less, I would like everybody, top DNC officials, I would like all of your resignations. once again, Trump is right again. And the same thing, well, let's look at his ties to Russia. There's nothing there either. There's nothing there either. And then we had him with this absurd statement he made, Donald Trump. My wires were tapped by the previous administration. You bumbling idiot. Why would he say you? And then it came out. There was some surveillance. And we'd like to call that incidental surveillance. We scooped up some of Donald Trump with it, if you will. Well, it's incidental. It's no. Someone had to sign off, and someone had to request to, remember, unmask the names. And once that unmasking happens, follow the trail, follow the logs. Who said what, when, where, and why? And we got the answer today. We got the answer today, April 3rd, which is when I'm doing this video. Trump is right again. And I want to see some effing heads roll. Prison, prison, prison is what I want to see. I won't settle for anything less. Donald Trump, you have these people by the nuts. Or, in her case, by her whatever. Zero Hedge confirmed. Susan Rice unmasked the Trump team. You know, Obama's Susan Rice. Once again, it appears that Trump was right. The conspiracy theory that a close Obama associate worked to unmask the Trump team, resulting in the ongoing media spectacle over collusion between Trump and the Kremlin, has been confirmed, first by Mike Cernovich and now by Bloomberg itself. As noted last night, journalist and author Mike Cernovich dropped an exclusive bombshell naming Obama's National Security Advisor Susan Rice as the official responsible for the unmasking of the incoming Trump team during incidental surveillance. This was apparently discovered after the White House counsel's office reviewed Rice's document log requests. Now, I heard that Condoleezza Rice was just recently visiting Donald Trump. I heard that. And I thought, what he'd want with her. And I'm wondering if he just asked her, Miss Rice, if a president was to be surveilled, who would have the ability to unmask? Could you give me the process, since you were in the government, in a position that would know that? Oh, sure. Well, this person would do that, and that, you know, this is Jason at 4 conspiracy speak. But maybe he got to figure out where to go and look specifically to find out who's who did what and when. Maybe. Don't know what the conversation was about, or if it even happened. I heard it did, and I've read it did. So anyways, as noted last night, this was apparently discovered after the White House's counsel office reviewed Rice's document log requests. The report Rice requested to see are kept under tightly controlled conditions. Each person must log their name before being granted access to them. Upon learning of Rice's actions, National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster dispatched his close aide, Derek Harvey, to Capitol Hill to brief Chairman Nunes. Cernovich pointed out, as revealed in an article by Sierra, that President Obama began loosening the rules regarding incidental intercepts starting in 2011, making it easier for the U.S. government to spy on individuals who are not the primary targets of a surveillance operation. You see, I got to stop here because this should piss you off. I hope it does. Every time people would stand up, the Patriot Act, that section, that's for us. No, it's not. We're not going to be listening. That's what they told us. We are not going to be listening to Americans. This is only for calls and things like that going outside the country to some of these specific nations and calls coming in. That's it. And then when it does come in, it's just metadata. Who called who, what number was dialed, that kind of stuff. And then we found out later, no, They record every single conversation, every freaking keystroke on your keyboard practically, every email you send, every piece of data that comes out of your computer and goes out into the internet and back. It is all being logged and stored forever so that they can go and look at it when they need to. But that's not what you guys told us. You told us it was just specific countries' calls coming in and out. And what do we have here? Him loosening it up, making it easier for the U.S. government to spy on individuals who are not the primary targets of the surveillance operation. First of all, how did President Obama begin loosening the rules? He's not a legislator. He doesn't write law. He just signs or vetoes law that Congress passes. So what is he doing? Loosening things. Is this how a democracy operates? Actually, the answer is yes. Shocker. The answer is yes. Democracies, according to numerous, was it Socrates who said it as well? I got to read you this. Stand by. Let me pause this. Stand by. Here we go. I found it. Speaking of cycles of government, democracy is one of the cycles. Plato, Aristotle, etc. Plato and Aristotle have somewhat different beliefs. Plato only sees 5 forms of government. Aristotle believes the cycle begins with monarchy and ends in anarchy, but that it does not start anew. He also refers to democracy as the degenerate form of rule by the many and calls the virtuous form politia, which is often translated as constitutional democracy. So, hang on, gotta blow my nose, sneeze. Never mind. That sucker went away fast. I was about to blow your ears out if I didn't press that mute button. Make sure it's still not on. All right. I want to screw myself over like I do and mute myself. Point being, this is supposed to be a republic, which means a republican form of government. That's what we're supposed to have, not a democracy. So actually, while you might think, oh no, this is not how democracy works. Democracy doesn't work like this, where we're spying on presidents who are about to become elected, and this is terrible. No, that's exactly how democracies are. It's a degenerate form of government, as a very well-known person in the past has said. Anyways, as his presidency drew to a close, Barack Obama's top aides routinely reviewed intelligence reports gleaned from the National Security Agency's incidental intercepts of Americans abroad. How about Americans at home, not abroad? Taking advantage of rules their boss relaxed starting in 2011 to help the government better fight terrorism, espionage by foreign enemies, and hacking threats. And guess who had authorization to unmask individuals who were incidentally surveilled? Former CIA Director John Brennan, former Attorney General Loretta Lynch, and Obama's National Security Advisor Susan Rice. Also of note is the claim that New York Times journalist Maggie Haberman has been sitting on the Susan Rice story for at least 2 days. This reporter has been informed that Maggie Haberman, or is that Haberman, has had this story about Susan Rice for at least the last 48 hours and has chosen to sit on it in an effort to protect the reputation of former President Barack Obama. Fox News anchor Adam Housley tweeted on Friday that the surveillance that led to the unmasking began before Trump was the GOP nominee, and that the person who did the unmasking is a very senior and very well-known person in the surveillance community and not someone in the FBI. As 0 Point Now noted, this is, of course, begs the question of whether or not President Obama would have ordered Rice to perform the unmasking. Until this morning, the Cernovich report was unconfirmed, with many in the legacy media accusing Cernovich, who recently was profiled on 60 Minutes for being a prominent member of the fake news dissemination team, for being what else? Fake news. However, moments ago, Bloomberg's Ellie Lake confirmed that it was indeed Susan Rice who was responsible for the repeatedly unmasking multiple members of the Trump team in what may be dubbed yet another conspiracy to delegitimize the current U.S. president. From Ellie Lake, White House lawyers last month learned that the former National Security Advisor Susan Rice requested the identities of U.S. persons in law intelligence reports on dozens of occasions that connected to the Donald Trump transition and campaign. According to U.S. officials familiar with the matter, the pattern of Rice's requests was discovered in a National Security Council review of the government's policy on unmasking the identities of individuals in the U.S. who are not targets of electronic eavesdropping, but whose communications are collected incidentally. Like I said, everything is collected incidentally on everybody. Normally, those names are redacted from summaries of monitored conversations and appear in reports as something like U.S. Person 1, or 2 or 3. As Lake adds, the National Security Council's Senior Director for Intelligence, Ezra Cohen Watnick, was conducting the review, according to two U.S. officials who spoke with Bloomberg View on the condition of anonymity, because they were not authorized to discuss it publicly. In February, Cohen Watnick discovered Rice's multiple requests to unmask U.S. persons in intelligence reports that related to Trump transition activities. He brought this to the attention of the White House General Counsel's office, who reviewed more of Rice's requests and instructed him to end his own research into the unmasking policy. The intelligence reports were summaries of monitored conversations, primarily between foreign officials discussing the Trump transition, but also in some cases direct contact between members of the Trump team and monitored foreign officials. One U.S. official familiar with the report said they contained valuable political information on the Trump transition, such as whom the Trump team was meeting, the views of Trump associates on foreign policy matters, and plans for the incoming administration. Oh yeah, that's all stuff we would accidentally collect. We're looking for terrorism and collusion with Russian bad guys, but we have information on who he might be picking, some of his plans when he becomes president, which is exactly what he pretty much said. I was spied upon, and this is for political gain on the other side. The leftist, liberal left side is absolutely out of control. Mr. Trump, Mr. President, drain that freaking swamp as fast as you can. And everybody that was tied to this, prison. And while you're at it, because of all that, I will now revoke the Patriot Act. I will now revoke this. I will revoke that. That's what he needs to do. But chances are he's probably not going to do it, because now he realizes, now I've got my hands on the controls. The controls that were used against all of us, now I've got my hands on them. I don't want to give that up. Maybe he wants to see what his enemies are doing. And now that they showed to be enemies of him by doing this, he can make the argument these people are enemies of the state. They spied on an incoming president illegally. These guys are enemies. I want to make sure we spy on all of them. It would be legitimate, would it not? Making matters worse, Rice appears to have lied. While she has not spoken directly on the issue of unmasking, last month when she was asked on the PBS NewsHour about reports that Trump transition officials, including Trump himself, were swept up in incidental intelligence collection, she said, "I know nothing about this," adding, "I was surprised to see the reports from Chairman Nunes on that account today." Her tweet, "When the White House twists the truth, we are all less safe. Why veracity matters to our security." That was March 21st, 2017. I know we're in April 3rd now. Wow. Lies aside, according to Bloomberg report, the Bloomberg reports, Rice's multiple requests. So she's the one that did it, right? And she had the nerve. This is news to me. I didn't know anything about this. You signed off on it. You filthy pig. You signed off on it. I didn't know anything about this. No, that's news to me today. Lies aside, according to the Bloomberg reports, Rice's multiple requests to learn the identities of Trump officials discussed in intelligence reports during the transition period does highlight a long-standing concern for civil liberties advocates about U.S. surveillance programs. The standard for senior officials to learn the names of U.S. persons incidentally collected is that it must have some foreign intelligence value. Again, the value was, who's he picking on his team? What are their plans when he becomes president? Oh yeah, that's real terrorism related there. A standard that can apply to almost anything. This suggests Rice's unmasking requests were likely within the law. Perhaps, but they also serve a key political purpose to create a media firestorm of controversy involving the Trump team and to delegitimize Donald Trump as much as possible. Furthermore, the news about Rice also may explain what Bloomberg dubs the strange behavior of Nunes in the last 2 weeks. In a tacit admission by Lake that Rice may have crossed numerous boundaries, the Bloomberg reporter adds, much about this is highly unusual, if not how the surveillance was collected, then certainly how and why it was disseminated. However, the real question goes back to square one. Did Obama order the unmasking, and if so, to what political purpose? So bring in Rice, you're going to be going to prison, but we'll give you immunity if you squeak, if you squeal, or maybe tweet or twit. You know, you like to tweet a lot. Maybe you want to tweet it out. You want to tweet out a confession? Would you not like to see that happen? Yes, and here's the proof. Obama made me do it. He asked me to do it. Yada, yada, yada. And I agreed. And then, Barack, see you in prison, buddy. See you in prison. Maybe we should send him to Guantanamo Bay where the other Muslims go. You know, just a thought. Something tells me not a chance in hell. Nobody's going to jail. But a boy can wish, can't he? Take care.